I'd like to call the April 26th board meeting to order at 6:35. Could you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our minister that was scheduled to be here had something come up and he couldn't make it, so we'll move right on to roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray? Trustee Holston?
Present.
Trustee Horn? Trustee Racick?
Present.
Okay. We'll move to open to the public. If anyone wishes to have anything to say about the agenda, please come forward. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Dorothy Margraf. My address is 27253 South Timber Lane in Monee. That's outside of the boundaries of Monee. I see in the agenda you were talking about the Tri-Town Government Access Channel. Will it be part of the agenda to talk about the shutting down of the station on May 1st? Or
That will be under discussion, yes.
So then I can comment on it.
What's on the agenda, you may comment about it.
All right. Does that discussion include closing down the station as of May 1st?
That would be part of the discussion, and then a vote, yes.
Okay. Then I will also make my comments at the end. I would like to point out that WPAL only found out that the station was going to be closed down because it was on page 64 of the Beecher meeting minutes. There was no notice given to the public, no notice given to WPAL. The mayors of both Beecher and Peatone said that there was a secret agreement, that it is a done deal.
May I interrupt you for a second, please, and say there was no secret meeting?
They said it
We
was.
meet with mayors all the time. I'm continually having meetings with mayors. At
It was-
luncheons, at dinners, at breakfast, and when there isn't even food served. So we have meetings all the time. It's not secret.
I can only say what was said at the public meetings of both Beecher and Peatone. Now, it is the right of the community to shut down the station. It is not government transparency to let everyone know on page 64 of the Beecher minutes what was going to happen in a few days. Now, since it is a done deal, and it's said by both mayors that it is a done deal, and it was done long before this, I will make my other comments at the end.
I would say the time for you to make your comments is now, because it's an agenda item. Once it's over with, there'll be no discussion on that.
There won't be any discussion, I understand that, based on what was said at both meetings. So I will just make my comments at the end.
Anyone else for open to the public? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I apologize. I missed item number E5. Is that going to be discussed later in the meeting, or if we accept this, will that be accepting that?
Which item? Trustee?
E5, favorable
Five?
recommendation of P&Z Development for Community Solar Garden.
I believe.
Do we have a,
If you accept the consent agenda as is, it's accepted. So if
then
you-
I'd like to pull this out for discussion. I apologize for not advising the clerk in advance, but I'd like to pull it out for discussion, please.
We don't have that rule. David, you want to bring something up about that? Any trustee about the consent agenda, that's fine. So we will, for now, put that on hold. Is the motion and second agreement with that?
Yes, so.
Yes.
If not, any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Racick?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah. D, A, B, C, D, our appointments. Discuss it now? Okay, we'll discuss the item on the consent agenda now.
My question there, Mr. Mayor, is this apparently is within 1.5 miles of the village of Monee, so it's not in the village of Monee.
Correct.
So all we're doing is consenting to not objecting to that, I would assume.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if there's anybody, particularly in case, in this particular case, farmers who are in the area who might object, they'll be objecting on their own. So there's no reason for us to have anybody in the village of Monee. We don't need to post this for the village of Monee. This is more just a information than it is anything.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's fine then now.
And just so the public knows, this is a new innovation by ComEd. They're putting in what they call farms, solar farms. You have all seen the windmills. Well, now they're going to ones on the ground. So, and they're popping up all over, and we're getting 1.5 miles from us. So they're letting us know that that's happening.
Yeah, there are some objections to the one that's being done in western Chicago, environmental concerns. And again, that's mostly coming from farmers and not from the city itself. So based upon that, I don't have any objection, but I'm wondering if the farmers in the area are aware of this. Not our concern as such, but I'm just concerned about that.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, for the board's information, I did travel down to Offner Road and Route 50 to view this parcel. It is currently not farmland, it's prairie land, and would lend itself to the possibility of this development, but they would, this solar farm would have to adhere to the recently passed Will County ordinance governing solar farms. So.
Good enough, thank you.
Okay.
And you need a motion for me to accept
Yes,
that? I'll
sir.
make that motion to accept E5.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Janet. Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Holston?
Yes?
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Racick?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
At this time, I would like on clerk's report.
Thank you. I just wanted to give an update on the economic interest statements that different elected officials and certain department heads had to file. I did contact the Will County Clerk's office, and we were all compliant. So just wanted to make sure I put that on the record because I was going to send out a reminder just in case everyone didn't have it there. And second, I was just trying to see if there was an update on the transient merchant ordinance, the update, because of the fact that I did have, of course, with the spring coming and the seasons changing, there have been more people in the village going around door to door and wanting to make sure that all of the residents are able to, I should say, have more peace of mind as far as like the badges and things like that. So just wanting to have that. And also the company that came to the door mentioned that they didn't know anything about who I was, but they did say that a week and a half ago, someone had called the police on them and they were questioned about a badge. They didn't have one. They said, so it took a little more time and it was a little time consuming. They contacted, they get everything straight, but you know, that's probably something they should think about. So I just wanted to get an update.
Yeah, it is on the agenda. It's going to be discussed
Okay.
under, excuse me for a second, under what, David? I mean, yeah, under attorney's report.
Okay, and then finally, I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed, we did go to the IML Lobby Day, and it was very informative as far as the information and being hands-on. I do appreciate being invited to that, and as a part of the IML with that. So, end of report.
I do have a question for our clerk. Is it true that your name was called out from the Senate floor? I heard that it was. I just wanted to make sure.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, I'm going to skip down to new business for a moment, if I could. Under new business, we got Major Michael Larson, who I invited, as per Trustee Blue. He's going to talk to us. He's part of the CAP, Illinois Wing Group 2, and he's a commander. Michael?
Thank you guys for letting me come and speak to you guys tonight, and I also appreciate you adjusting the schedule to let me come in first, or at least earlier. For some of you who do not know, Illinois Wing Civil Air Patrol just moved our headquarters down to Bolt Field last August. So we had an open house in September, but we are making a bigger presence here in the area. With that, we are also trying to expand some of our squadrons and get more interest in the program itself. For those that don't know, Civil Air Patrol is the auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force. We are volunteers. We are not active duty. We're not reserved. We don't get called up. There is no penalty if a mission comes out and we are not able to make it. We don't carry guns, and we don't get to. So members who do join, for those cadets that we are trying to entice to join us as well, you are not enlisting in the military. We are a military structured organization. Again, as a auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force, we are part of their total force package, so we do get called on to perform missions to help the Air Force out. We will also serve with other organizations in the government, Homeland Security, FEMA, to name a couple of them, as well as local EMAs, Will County EMA, as well as National Weather Service. We've flown for some of their missions as well, tornado searches. Civil Air Patrol does have three primary functions. We have, chartered by Congress, we are responsible for cadet programs, which are available for children ages 12 to 18. Once they are in the program, they can stay a cadet through age 21. We are also responsible for aerospace education and emergency services, like I mentioned. Part of that is search and rescue, tracking down overdue aircraft, and any other sort of missing person search that we are trained for, that we have the ability to do. Illinois Wing is structured again by the state along state boundaries. We have 35 squadrons in the state. They're broken down into 5 groups. This one being Group 2, of which I am the commander of, is primarily Cook, Will, Kankakee counties. We go down to Paxton County is my area of responsibility. But for the state, we do have 10 aircraft that we are using. We have 3 gliders that we use primarily for cadet orientation rides. All of our cadets get 5 flights in a powered aircraft and 5 flights in a glider as part of their program to introduce them to aerospace, to try to instill a love of aviation and science and technology. Again, with our cadet programs, we do focus a lot on STEM concepts. There are robotics that they will build, model rocketry, science related, again, trying to instill that love of aviation and aerospace, training up the next round of leaders for to serve either in military or just in the community as a general. All of our seniors, there is no age limit as to what you can sign up for. I believe. Well, I know we have people in their 80s and 90s serving. I know my father joined just a couple years ago. He was 75 when he signed up. So, that was. There's no age limit. A lot of it is just it's a willingness to help out. And speaking personally, I joined because this was my opportunity to give back to my community. I was not in the military, but this is, again, my way of being able to help others in their time of need. So we are working with your Parks and Rec Department, along with some of the schools. We would like to try to build a squadron down here. One of the websites you can go to is gocivilairpatrol.com, or Illinois Wings website is ilwg.cap.gov. And again, hopefully you will find more information there, and as we do some more presentations in the area coming up in the near future. So thank you for the opportunity to be in the area. We look forward to continuing the work with you guys. We had started to work with EMA both at the village level and at Will County's level too. But we look forward to a continued relationship with you guys. So thank you.
Group Commander, I've got a question for you. Sure. So is the program open to boys and girls?
Yes, it is. It is open to boys and girls starting at age 12. Mm-hmm. Sorry, yes. And
you mentioned something about ham radios.
Yes, one of the things in our emergency services division is a communications radio. VHF, HF radios that we have, again, in the support of the Air Force and FEMA, we do have a network of radios throughout that. If anybody is interested in that type of, the communications, the ham radios certainly are a draw from that. We do have ability to do that. It is not all just pilots and search and rescue. We do have a large an area of other avenues too, and even public affairs and administration and logistics, lots of avenues.
You were mentioning that you have pilots as young as 16.
Well, you can be a pilot at 16. I believe right now our youngest pilot is she's 17 or 18. A female up out of up north of the city, but she's taken through Civil Air Patrol to get her pilot's license. And I believe, like I said, I don't think she's 18 yet. I think she's just a 17.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Any other questions I can answer? But
well, thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation. At this time, I'd like to call Scott Yurtis up to the microphone, if you would, Scott. I've interviewed, I won't say numerous, but I've interviewed different people, and I would love to appoint Scott as the trustee to fill in for Mary Jo's remainder of the term. Scott did run in the last election. I got to know him because he kept coming to meetings. And when I asked him to serve on a committee, he told me he'd be honored. So, well, I think he's going to be honored tonight, too, and I'm sure the board's going to have a favorable recommendation. Does anyone have any questions for Scott? We're putting him on the spot here. That's all right. He'll handle it. Anybody?
No.
Okay, if not, I'm going to ask for a motion from
I'll make
the
that motion.
trustees. And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion at all?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words, Mr. Mayor. I do respect the fact that it is your decision to choose a trustee to submit. As you know, I did submit names to you of people not endorsed by me, just representing residents of the community, bearing in mind that we have 54% women in the village per the census in 2016, and we have 31% people of color in the village per the same census. I'm very disappointed that we didn't choose a candidate who more closely reflected our community. This is no disrespect to Scott. I've already had a conversation with Scott. I shared with him my feelings, so it's not a surprise. As you know, I've shared them with you also, but I did want to make that statement because I am very disappointed at the choice.
I might say Janet was pretty much in my face about this, very interested in the decision I might make, and I had to do what I felt was I'm most comfortable with, and there will be election in a year, and we'll see what happens. But roll call, please.
I have something to say.
Yes, sir. Trustee Olson.
I did recommend Scott. I'll go on record saying that. I did not recommend him because he's a man, although I notice he is a man. I did not recognize him because he's white, although he is white. I recognized him because for the last year he's attended most of the village board meetings. I recognized him because when he came to me a year ago after he lost the election, like I did 6 years ago, He said, what should I do if I'm interested in serving the public? I said, well, here's what I would recommend. I'd recommend you attend a board meeting so you know what's going on, so if you ever get the opportunity to serve on the board, you'll know what's going on. I also said, I think you ought to get involved on a committee in the village, which he did. I would encourage anybody, black, white, male, female, brown, who's interested in serving the village, to get involved with the village from day one. I have no idea who the 5 candidates that Trustee Blue recommended are. Not important. The person I recommended one, and only one, because that's the person I felt was qualified for the job, because there's only 6 votes on this board. They have to decide what's best for this community, and they need to be engaged in the community. So if you're interested in running next year, I would encourage you to start attending board meetings, let your voice be heard. I would encourage you to volunteer for committees, because we do have good committees. I know you have 2 very excellent appointments later on that you're going to have tonight, Mr. Mayor. I want to point out that when you did appoint a mayor to replace you, a male, last year, you appointed a female. Not because she was a female, because she was a qualified person.
Thank you.
So I commend you. I am not disappointed in you. I am happy with the process that you used. You gave all of us an opportunity, and Trustee Blue did present names to you.
Yes.
Admittedly, names that she didn't necessarily know. It's her business.
I'm sorry, you don't know that.
I thought I heard you say that.
You don't know that.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razak?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
No.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Halston?
Yes.
Tanisha, thank you.
Of the Village of Monee,
of the Village of Monee,
County of Will, State,
Where's his
County,
name?
I'm sorry, County of Will,
County of Will,
and the State of Illinois.
and the State of Illinois,
Aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution, you can raise your hand, please,
that I will support the
of
Constitution
the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of Illinois,
of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of trustee
of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Scott? Temporary nameplate for you, please sit right over there. Okay, and at this time, I would now like to call up, and I hope I get it right, Michaela? Michaela. Okay. Kenneth, I'd like to have her, her resume was very good. It was one of the people that I had interviewed for trustee, and I was very impressed with her resume. And if you would like to talk about yourself a little bit, that would be wonderful to get to know who you are a little bit. Well, I'd like to appoint her to Planning and Zoning.
Hello, I am Michaela Canny, and I've been here in this community for a little over 10 years. I am a single parent, a registered nurse, and I've been working at Advocate Christ for 23 years. Most of the time in emergency services in the ED. I am a faithful member at my church, and I am very interested in being a helpful resource in this community. So, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any questions for her? If not, could I have a motion to accept?
I'll second.
Roll call, please. Denisha? Okay. Oh,
Trustee
that's it.
Razak,
Yes.
Trustee Udras,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gray,
Yes.
Trustee Halston,
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Thank you very much. She's going to swear you in now.
Okay, if you can raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Makila Canna,
I, Makila Canny,
having been duly appointed
having been duly
Kenny.
appointed
to the Planning and Zoning Village Commission,
to the Planning and Zoning
Village Commission
Village Commission
of Monee,
of Monee,
County of Will,
County of Will,
and State of Illinois,
and State of Illinois,
aforesaid, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United
of
States
the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties according to the best of my ability.
the duties according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now at this time, I'd like to call up David Stockton. I want to say as David comes up, I'd like to appoint David to the Police Commission. And David is very experienced in board actions here. David, was it 12 years a trustee or what?
Yes, 12 years.
Good, I got that one right, didn't I? Huh? And, you know, David's been in my ear every time there's an opening. And for something, he says, all I want to do is serve. Well, Dave, we're going to give you that opportunity now, I hope.
Very good.
So anybody have any questions for David? David was on every committee we could have. He did a great job at finance, I know that. I was a trustee at the time you were in charge of that. So I think he's very capable. So any discussion on this or questions for David? If not, a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Udras,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gray,
Yes.
Trustee Halston,
Yes.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razak.
Yes.
Okay, David, have Denisha swear you in, sir.
You can raise your hand, repeat after me. I, David Stockton,
I, David Stockton,
having been duly appointed
have been duly appointed
to the Police Commission of the Village of Monee,
Police Commission of the Village of Monee,
County of Will, and State of Illinois,
County of Will, State of Illinois,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United
I
States
will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
to
to
the best of my ability.
the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Glad to have you, David.
Thank you.
David.
Mayor.
Come right.
Oh, good. Ain't about a classy lady, see? So I mean how fast you catch on. That girl. Okay, at this time, if you look at your agenda, we're talking. We had a little get together, a little party for Phyllis Nealon. Phyllis served for over 28 years on. I don't know if it was all on planning and zoning, but and she had a couple physical problems, and there was no way I was going to ask her to step down, but she made that decision, and we're very proud of the work she did, and understand she was not an employee of the village. She served on a committee, and faithfully. So at this time, I'd like to discuss naming. She lives on Wilson Street. She's lived here for 70 years, I believe. Am I correct on that number? I think I am. a long time. And we'd like to name Wilson Street from Egyptian Trail to Route 50, Phyllis Nealon Way. I just think it's a fitting tribute to her. For me, it's the right thing to do for her. And unlike, I'll just say that I like to do it as soon as possible. So, any discussion on this?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion at all? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Thank you all very much. You make my job easy sometimes. Sometimes. Okay, we'll move on to the administrator's report. Mr. Wallace?
Thank you, Mayor. Item H1 on the agenda you have before you, that is the bid results of the Route 50 water main loop. And at the March 14th board meeting, the village agreed to authorize the above to go to bid. And as a result of the bid process, we had 7 bidders on the project with a bid range of $169,847.51 to a top end of $295,000. The recommended lowest qualified bidder, as recommended by Tyson Engineering, is Iroquois Paving Corporation in the amount of $169,847.51. The letter of recommendation from Tyson Engineering was attached in the board packet for your review. And the action requested this evening is a motion to accept the bid from Iroquois Paving Corporation in the amount of $169,847.51 and to authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the appropriate contracts.
Any discussion on this?
Do we need to make 2 motions
Nice
for
and
that?
loud.
Or 1? Okay. I'll make that motion.
There's
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
It's nice to see a company within the confines of Monee get a bid like this, so they were a little bid. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Board. And I would like to add that this, as is the next item, budgeted items. They are budgeted items. Item H2 on the agenda has to do with the Main Street drainage improvements. And again, on March 14th, the board authorized the bidding of the above mentioned project. And the results of the bid project also showed 7 bidders on the project with a bid range of $195,042.80 to a top bid of $328,000. The recommended lowest qualified bidder, as recommended by Tyson Engineering, is Iroquois Paving Corporation in the amount of $195,042.80. Recommendation letter from Tyson Engineering was also attached in your board packet. The action requested this evening is a motion to accept the bid from Iroquois Paving Corporation in the amount of $195,042.80 and to authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the appropriate contracts.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Any discussion on this? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H3 in the agenda has to do with the offer to purchase municipal land. The village has recently purchased 2 lots, if you recall, for the purpose of extending Cleveland Avenue to the south. The village has received an offer to purchase a portion of the lot located directly north of our Department of Public Works facility located on Industrial Drive. Attached, there was an acquisition letter of intent from Northern Builders Incorporated to purchase approximately 1.37 acres for the amount of $59,677. A copy of that letter of intent to purchase was included in your board packet. And at this time, I would like to defer to the attorney for the proper procedure for proceeding.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. What I would recommend to the board, this is surplus real estate. It'd be appropriate to go out for proposals and bids. You might get a higher proposal than this. It doesn't mean you have to accept that proposal, but since we just purchased this land, I believe there's other inquiries relative to the disposition of this property. I'd recommend that you go out for bid, open it at upcoming board meeting, and make a decision thereafter. But it is surplus real estate. I would recommend it go out for proposals.
So we would want to table it then, right?
No,
Just to go out for
recommend that
bid?
it goes, if the board wants to start the process to put it out for bid, because
Okay.
it does take a little time.
I'll make that motion to put it out to bid.
A second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Razak.
Yes.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
Trustee Holston.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my report at the moment.
Okay. Well, we'll move to the officials' report. Public Works. Trustee Gray.
Grass looks very nice. End of report.
Yeah, my lawn does look pretty, no. Yeah, Egyptian trail's looking good. There's a lot of black dirt spread and most of the grass. We'll move to Parks and Recs. That would be Trustee, what's wrong with me? Scott? I don't think you need to make a report today. That's the only committee open right now. We may do some shifting around, okay? So I'll ask Diana, she's here. That's our Parks and Recs lady, of course.
Hi.
Hi.
You may have gotten this in the mail. This is a copy of our newsletter full of lots of information, including our spring and summer programs. We have a lot that is coming to Monee, from Lego programs to cooking. Yoga is back. The newest event that's about to happen is our community-wide garage sale, which is May 11th and 12th. So be sure to open up your newsletter and read it. If not, you could see it on our website. You can see it there, so end of report.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Finance. Trustee Holston.
I have an abbreviated report tonight. Finance Committee is still waiting for the results of the meeting that we'll have later this evening, an executive session on confidential items. However, I also want to point out that at the IML meeting yesterday, which both Trustee Blue and Trustee Coach Ho were called out on the floor for.
I forgot about that.
I know you did. But we want to make sure you know. We know. HB 2717, which was a House bill that would have allowed us to go out and have a separate third-party auditor to audit sales tax, was defeated. So that means that we will not be able to avail that service, and we'll have to continue to rely upon staff to do their diligence as much as possible to audit sales tax revenues to make sure we're getting the right revenue. End of report.
Okay. Economic Development. Trustee Blue.
Okay, buckle up. This is a long one.
Buckle up.
So we have 2 new businesses coming to Monee, which is really exciting. We've got a family-owned and operated construction company. It's been operating since 1956. They're moving to Monee. The owners live in the Monee area and cite Cook County's increasingly high real estate taxes as the primary business for the reason for the business's location. The property is under contract and the business owner has applied for a special use permit as is required in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District. It is an existing space, but the application will go before planning and zoning in May. And I do want to say the economic development team has been very involved in facilitating this process. Our second one, Northern Builders, They're in discussions to continue toward presenting a project that would construct a 220,000 square foot light industrial building. The project also provides an extension of Cleveland Avenue that ultimately connects with Industrial Drive. This project represents the third and final stage of Northern Builders development on Cleveland Avenue, the first two buildings being home to Liberty Furniture and DIY Group. We hope to present a redevelopment agreement for the Village Board's consideration in the near future. Again, well done to the Economic Development team. Other news, I did attend the superintendent selection on behalf of the mayor who couldn't make it that evening. This is the superintendent of the Crete Monee High School. The mayor had another appointment and asked me to attend to represent the village. It was very, very well attended. We had 40 people in the focus group alone interviewing 3 superintendents for the schools. It's a very, very important position. The mayor from Crete was there also, and other elected officials. I'll let you know the decision. As of today, there wasn't a decision made. Going forward, the president of the Crete Monee Board of Education did say they would like to give us regular input from the school. So as it comes up, we'll be happy to report on that. On our rental ordinance, we have now received feedback from legal counsel, and so the committee will be meeting on Monday, April 30th at 4 o'clock. This is a public meeting. All are welcome to attend. We did hold our very first teen forum. Thank you to Diana for facilitating that. It was a good turnout. The teens that came had lots of ideas, and Kevin DeVries was the point person for that, and Michaela Kenna, our newest P&Z member, was there helping with communication, getting the word out, and assisting on the night of the forum. The follow-up meeting is May the 3rd, and we'll report back on that. Lastly, our Monee Chamber of Commerce held its second business community meeting yesterday. That was the restaurant and gaming business. I haven't heard back from Lee yet as to how that went, but that was the second in a series of business communication initiatives. They've split our business communication, our business community into genres. We had our health and wellness group meet in January. This is restaurant and gaming, and then it will be manufacturing and retail services after that. End of report. Unless, of course, you didn't know that Denise and I were called out by Senator Hastings on the Senate floor yesterday. For anyone who didn't hear that. End of report, sir.
Okay, we'll move to Building Services. Trustee Horn.
Good evening. Trustees, just FYI for your information, our Building Services Committee met, I believe it was last week, and we went through all the new codes that are proposed here, and you can rest assured that these are vetted and recommended by our committee. Now, I did not get a chance to sidebar with Mike earlier today, so Mike, do you have anything that is pressing that we should know about?
Yeah, could we get them passed real quick?
That was an editorial comment by our Building Services Supervisor. End of report.
Okay.
Excuse me, Trustee Horn, we would be looking for a recommendation to direct those to the attorney for preparation in proper ordinance form.
Very good. Yes, I see, because I had to turn the page here to see the. So we are continuing, following up on that. We are, the Building Services Committee is actually recommending that we move this to council for review.
Are you looking for a motion?
So I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion. Second. Second. Any other discussion on it? I might say that, if you don't mind. Yes, sir?
Besides the code adoptions, should be impacted, I hope.
Yes.
Are the fees,
they're in there as well.
that we're doing, and I would like to incorporate everything into the ordinance. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. There is a fee schedule with this that we're discussing.
So the motion and second would cover fees also. Is that okay with the motion and the
Yes.
second? Any other discussion?
Yes, sir. These fees, are these current fees, or these new fees to be proposed?
These are proposed.
So some of these will be increases then?
Yeah, as we worked through these, some of them are increases to bring them more in line with the surrounding area. The good news is some of these are decreased fees. So it's probably about a 60-40 split or 66-33 split with those fees. Some are increased, some are decreased.
Have we run these by anybody in the public at all, particularly contractors or anybody?
We have not.
Just to clarify, we're not agreeing to the fees tonight. We're just asking for permission
Larry,
to
to-
send it to council to put them in ordinance fashion. Correct.
Yes, just to move them forward.
And the building committee met and discussed all of these last week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And may I please add, while we're in discussion, that I just want to point out, Michael, we appreciate you getting a company to take you through all these different codes and variations, bringing our code up to the year 2015 from, what was it before? 2003. So, you know, there's going to be a lot more safety involved in all this. It was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work for Michael and his group, and we applaud you for that, Michael. And may I just say, great job. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Trustee Horn pointed out during committee, and I just wanted to bring that to the board, that the majority of the fees that were lowered were representative of work to be done on owner homes. So the committee and the building department wanted to encourage the upkeep and everything on homes as they exist now.
Okay, we'll go roll call, please.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to public safety. Trustee Razik.
I got a couple things, Mr. Mayor. The Monee Police Department has recently met with local school officials, updating procedures and conducting training sessions to assure school safety and departmental procedures. Monee Police Department also communicates regularly with surrounding agencies to assure a coordinated response to any incidents. And lastly, the Monee Police Department is currently conducting IDOT-funded enforcement details targeting distracted drivers. This initiative will continue through the remainder of the month. End of report.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Razik. Okay, we move on to the attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 4 items for the board's consideration. The first item is an ordinance amending ordinance number 1673 pertaining to a special use permit. The zoning board met, I believe, last week to consider the request by the applicant. The applicant's requesting a change in the special use permit that was issued roughly 2 years ago, I believe it was. A hearing was made before the zoning board. The zoning board made a favorable recommendation. The essence of the ordinance is that the applicant has a parking facility, and at this point in time, what they're requesting is that as opposed to having personnel on the site at all times, that there will be electronic monitoring will be installed and activated on the premises and will be in use from dusk to dawn on a daily basis. I don't believe there's been any issues. I know Mr. Spezia is here tonight on behalf of the applicant in case there's any questions from the board.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. That's an accurate summary of the request. My client had a chance to review the language in the amended ordinance, and the substitution of the electronic monitoring for the actual physical presence is, essentially what we had asked. There is an existing electronic monitoring system. It's state-of-the-art. We were able to present some information to the Plan and Zoning Commission, and we were able to present our contract with our third-party security firm that monitors the lot. So with all that being said, I'd ask for a favorable vote tonight to amend the special use permit. And I think it was 2014, Larry.
I'm off a couple.
Been,
years.
yeah, it's been a few more than a few.
I might say that as mayor, you guys did a very thorough job. You did a great job on it. And I think planning and zoning, I don't mean to speak for them, but I think they saw that too. And that's why you got a favorable recommendation. Great job.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else have any statements they want to make or anything? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Ordinance number?
Ordinance number is 1839.
1839. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Larry.
The next item is an ordinance repealing ordinance number 1617 regarding the IGA Tri-Town Government Access Television Commission. This ordinance would repeal the ordinance that was adopted roughly 3 years ago. Oh, Chris left, so I could be more accurate. It's up for the board's review and consideration tonight. This dealt with the WPAL issue. It would repeal that ordinance that was, again, in effect on ordinance number 1617.
I need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Second, discussion. Any discussion on this? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
1840.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is pursuant to the board's direction, I drafted an ordinance for the board's review and consideration relative to the raising of chicken hen within the village limits. It is somewhat extensive. Trustee Horn gave me a lot of help on this matter. I believe it might be appropriate, now that it's in written form, for the board to take a look at and probably have a committee take a look at it and come back to the board with a final recommendation. But this is in relation to, again, raising chicken hens within the village of Monee.
Well, Larry, I appreciate that. Our lawyer is recommending that we move it to committee. And I really don't know which one to give this to. We could call it economic development. It's a business. But go ahead, David.
I'm
So-
thinking it's Parks and
Go ahead,
Rec.
Doug.
Mayor, just a little background on this. This is a very, I would say, describe it as very thorough ordinance. There are villages in our area that do allow chickens, Homewood to be one example. Actually, I've heard Chicago allows chickens as well, although I can't speak to that firsthand or have looked at their ordinance. This town used to allow chickens, because if you drive around the old part of town, you will see many old chicken coops. So I don't know when that was banned, but the proposal here is to reintroduce them for personal use only, no more than 6. You have to have a coop. You cannot sell them. All those concerns are addressed in here. However, saying that, I would be very happy to move this to a committee, and I suppose it could be in my committee, because there is a section in there about building a chicken coop. So I'd be happy to take this pet project, no pun intended, on.
And we'd be very happy for you to take it too.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I
sir.
do want to make the point to Trustee Horn, and since you volunteered for this, that I've had at least one person from the public come to me and object to a chicken ordinance on the grounds that they are highly allergic to chickens, and that if a chicken is in, if there's a chicken coop or whatever in the yard next to them, they won't be able to go outside. So you might want to do some research on that.
I will do that, and I would just say, sort of off the cuff, that this is designed, the ordinance states that they have to be in an enclosed area and not roaming the streets.
Yep, I understand. But this person specifically said they have a high allergy to chickens, that they have a diagnosed disease where they cannot be around chicken feathers. So just pointing that out.
I would suggest at this time that we might want to have a motion to move it to committee. So for further discussion,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
roll call, please.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes?
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Doug, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Trustee Horn, would you like to chair that committee? Would you mind?
That was the intention.
Very good. Very good. And you can name whoever you wish to it.
Well, I was thinking we would use just the Building
Very good.
Services Committee
Okay.
for that.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mayor. And the last item I have for the board's review and consideration, drafted an ordinance regulating transient merchant type activities. It's a little different than we have pending, or present, I should say. I know Denisha made some good observations regarding the cost and the fees. What I tried to do was take a lot of different villages' input and incorporate it into our ordinance. So again, I would probably recommend, if the board deems appropriate, is have a committee take a look at it, especially the fee structure. It is somewhat extensive. Again, I've compared it to other villages. I've seen other villages have a one-page or one sentence saying no transient merchants of any kind whatsoever. Others have made it very, very extensive. So this is sort of in between, pursuant to the board's direction. You know, if the board deems appropriate, we could send it to committee and have it for final adoption if at the next board meeting in May.
Okay,
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
very good. Second,
I'll second.
any other discussion?
What committee
Well, it's not
did you make the
discussion.
motion for?
It's not to be made. Yeah.
For yours?
No.
Economic
motion-
Development?
No, I just made a motion to send it to committee. I'm thinking finance.
Economic Development, no doubt about it.
Is that okay, Janet?
Absolutely. I'm happy to serve our residents, Mr. Mayor. You know that.
Very good.
And I serve on
Okay,
that
that'll
committee
move
as
to
well,
committee.
so I'll
That'll
be happy. to-
Economic Development.
You're welcome.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Oh, yes.
That's all I have,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Old business, approval of an ordinance that has to do with the aqua rate, amending Title 8, Chapter 2, Section A, Chapter 2A, Section 1D1. This was tabled from the April 11th meeting. A motion to revoke? Remove. Yeah, I'd like a motion to remove it from the table, from being tabled.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gray,
Yes.
Trustee Holston,
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Okay. We'll move to creamery. What, sir? Before we move on to the creamery, a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
I will sadly second that.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir. The reason I asked for this to be tabled, if you'll go back to the minutes for last time, was because the question was, could we hold this increase for 1 year? I believe, Trustee Razak, you raised that question. Under K1 tonight, everybody received, I believe, a copy of what the cost for that would be. With the current rate, the increase, if we held it for a month, would be $1,890. Is that correct? Over a quarter? Is that what I'm reading here?
Trustee Holston, I believe I'll ask the finance director to come up and explain these numbers as the request to put them together, but I think based on a 2-month billing cycle, the difference between the current rate and the additional rate, the increased rate for a 2-month billing cycle was $35,344.58. That's for a 2-month billing cycle.
All right, explain what you just gave us on the sewer rate increase analysis, 420.
Okay, for the first line there, the number of gallons for the 2 months on average, the difference between the current rate and what we're proposing to increase to for the 2-month period is $35,344.
Okay.
The next line item, that's a per day difference each day that we are either losing or gaining revenue amounts, depending on how you look at it. So it's about $600 a day. Then I took those numbers and figured out, March 1st through the 15th, what that total would be of lost revenue if we did not go back to March 1st, which would be the $89.85 for the first 15 days.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what I would suggest to the trustees is that it is now April 27th, where if we say yes on this motion that was just made, we are taxing the residents of Village of Monee with 3 days left in the month, this amount of money. I don't think that's fair to the village residents. They have had no notice. They're going to get a bill that they weren't aware was going to go up. I think we can do a better job of that. I think we should absorb the cost for this particular time period and make this effective instead of March 1st on May 1st. Now, we have a motion in place, so we either have to amend the motion or defeat the motion. Am I correct?
You are correct.
So my recommendation is to, if we don't amend the motion, to defeat this motion, because I think this is not fair to the residents of Monee. I realize it's going to cost the village the money, but as I have been reminded several times recently, we do have a surplus, and I believe that this surplus would be wisely used and appropriately used to be able to allow the folks of Monee some time to adjust to a rate increase that we have to give. We understand that. But I think it's a little unfair to them, even though we weren't properly treated by Aqua on this, to hit the residents of Monee with this. I think it's not fair.
Well, I might say with that in mind, Trustee Holston, the cost for the village to try to figure this out is almost impossible, if I can say it that way. The cost per resident is going to be $4.75.
I don't believe that.
And, well, I'll let some other people give you some facts. Darrell?
That's actually true. If you kind of take that difference that we've got here, the 89.85, between, I'd say we've got about 1,800, 1,900 water bills that go out. And it breaks down to about $4.75 per bill.
And that represents, I think what hasn't been stated here, is that $4.75 represents the 15 days, should this village board adopt the ordinance that's before you, which makes the aqua increase retroactive to March 1st. So from March 1st to March 15th, Finance Director Bulliner has figured out that it's roughly a $4.75 increase to each of those bills for the 15 days. And from that point forward, then it is the aqua increase that was passed on to us.
And David, let's also explain that $4.75 per resident would be kind of in a bank. When we get a flood and we get charged by Aqua, you do, for extra water going through the sewer system, that would be deducted. That would be taken, and we would credit you with that $4.75. So that's, am I correct on that, David?
We would use that $4.75 to pay the overage on the aqua bill.
Correct. So,
I respectfully would respond that if we're really going to be transparent, we could have notified the residents as soon as we got the bill that this was going to effectively happen to them. I realize it's just $4.75%, but we hit the button and says when it starts. I can't believe it's that expensive for us to make this effective May 1st. And I think it's a point of us as a village saying to our residents, we care about you, and we will be transparent, and we will let you know in advance before we pass a rate increase on to you.
With respect, I disagree with Trustee Holston. I think we have to be fiscally responsible for our village, and this is one of those times when we have to make a hard decision, knowing that our budget is very, very tight, knowing the hours we've spent trying to cut the budget to meet the money we have. I believe that we have shared the increases from Aqua and with different parts of the community as well. So I don't think this is a shock. I think we're expecting it, and I think we're using this for all the wrong reasons. I would absolutely respect going forward with the race.
the work it's going to take to do this, talking with our financial director and others, is insurmountable to figure this out. Wait now, let me finish. And this $4.75 is going to be given back to the people.
Mayor Pop, I was agreeing with you. I was saying that we should go forward with the race as is.
Okay, very good.
My comment is, as the attorney's opinion to me means a lot, our finance director opinion means a lot. My one question is, and again, I'm not a finance person, if we push this back, Daryl, will that 475 go up?
Well, the 475 is just over the 15 days. So, yes, when you do the increase, it will be more.
Okay. That being said, as a board, we are getting kicked left and right, and with the water increase in the sewers, and we already know what Aqua's trying to do. So I agree with Trustee Blue with, we pay water bills too. We're not excluded on this. We pay the bills too. We don't get any freebies in this town. I would agree with Trustee Blue. We move forward. Yes, it's short notice, as it is to some of us too. My opinion is we just move forward and we take, if there are beatings out there, we'll take it. That's what we signed up for.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I believe I've withstood a lot of beatings already. My question is, why March 1st to March 15th? I lost you somewhere there. I thought this bill that we're going to get goes from March 1st to April 30th.
Trustee Holston, the Aqua order that came down from the Commerce Commission had an effective date of March 16th. And when we left the last board meeting, staff was under the impression that we were to figure out what the costs were, because the proposal was to go back. This ordinance proposes to start the effective date March 1st. The reason for that is our software does not bill on a daily basis. It's set up to bill on a bi-monthly basis. So it would be all manual labor to figure anything differently. So in moving back, making this retroactive to March 1st, the staff performed its calculations, and what it would cost the average bill for those 15 days, March 1st to March 15th, would be the $4.75 per bill. From March 16th forward, that would be the actual aqua increase, which actually is an additional.
So I think that's where the misunderstanding was.
Okay.
My motion that I gave the last time was if we did not pass the bill till May 1st, what would it cost us? And what I heard you just say, let me finish, is this is for 15 days. So therefore, it's actually going to cost an additional $20 from what people expected to pay for that time period if we pass this motion for this cycle. It'll increase their bill for the last 60 days by $20. I realize that March 16th was the effective date of the aqua notice, but the people of Monee did not know that. Most of them are expecting a bill that will be $20 cheaper than they're going to get on average. Am I correct, Darrell?
No.
Because you're under the assumption we're going to start on May 16th no matter what, and what you want to do is move it back to March 1st because that's the date of the billing cycle. I understand that makes it equal. It's all or none in my world. If we go back to March 1st, then it's going to be an extra, on average, $17 extra or $18 extra to the average bill. If we say wait till May 1st, they won't get that extra $18 until the next billing cycle. That's my point. And Trustee Dresback, I believe that was your point the last meeting. So I would agree that if we're only talking 15 days, it's not worth the money. But we're talking the entire cycle. It's an extra $18 to the retirees, to the people who are on low income, that they won't have any time to plan for. And I count my pennies. I know Trustee Blue talks about this all the time. But more importantly here, it's the issue of transparency to the village's residents of Monee. And I don't think that we have been as transparent as we could have been. We have not gone out there to make sure they understood there was an approximate $20 increase, average bill increase coming. And if you don't think they won't notice that, wait. I can handle that. I don't have a problem with that. I can handle that and more, as we'll discuss in executive session. But I'm just challenging us as representatives elected by the residents of Monee to be as transparent as we can. The average bill for this time period will increase $18. They're going to find out about it when they get the bill.
We have been transparent. I mentioned this well over a month ago. My bill was going to go up from what I calculated in my sewer and water, my sewer, I should say, $28, not $20. The people knew this.
But not retroactive, Mr. Mayor.
Actually, with respect, when I presented to the Gulf Vista HOA, that's exactly what I presented to them, that it would be retroactive from the first of the month. But putting that aside, let's talk finance. If we don't pass on this bill from the first, someone has to pay for it. So it's going to be the taxpayers anyway. This is all taxpayer money. So you're just moving the money around and putting it under different headings for a short period of time. If it's a water bill, the water bill has to be paid. The water has to be paid for. So if you're suggesting that the village should pay for the water, you're really just saying the residents should pay for the water because they're paying, that they are taxpayers. So I don't understand why we're suggesting that people who receive water shouldn't pay for it. I don't understand that.
Mr.
I
Mayor?
think you did a pretty good job on the IML floor yesterday, apparently. I would suggest that the village is, it's the village's money. Trustees Blue is correct. It's the village's money either way. But we do have a surplus. When we're transparent with people, we give them notice, we don't make things retroactive. We all agree that what Aqua did to us was not correct, was not right. That's been stated by virtually every person in this room. Now we're going to turn around and do it to the village residents. That's not right either.
We're not doing it to the residents. Aqua is doing it to the residents. We're not raising the water rate. Aqua is raising that water rate. We are merely passing that raise on. So I don't know why you keep talking about the surplus like it's a bottomless pit.
I call the question.
The administrator would like to say something, please.
As you all know, I don't vote. Staff doesn't vote. We're only here to bring the information that is requested by this board. And I would just like to clarify one thing, that whatever the board decides, if the 2-month billing cycle in question, the additional amount as required by Aqua rate increase for sanitary service processing is roughly $27,000 more that this village will have to pay. That's the fact. If you don't pass it on, then the village reaches into the sewer fund, which is the only fund over, and Daryl, can you give me off the top of your head the balance of the sewer fund is because we talk many times about overages and surplus, and I don't believe the sewer fund is as flush as one might think.
If we're looking at the sewer fund and we're just strictly talking about sewer, we've probably got about, I would say the last time we checked, about that $8,000 to $10,000 in that fund, because the sewer fund actually covers the Aqua amount. So it's almost a wash. We don't really make a profit on that. We're just covering it. So that's kind of where we are. It's now if you look at water on the other end, that's where there potentially will be some profit there. But as far as sewer, it's almost just covering what we're being charged.
And so for board information, it's just that I wanted to be clear that everyone understood that if you don't enact this ordinance retroactively, then the amount that will be paid from March 16th through April 30th will be, the additional amount will be borne by the village, and that amount will approximately be $27,000. That ends my comments. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? None? What am I after, a roll call?
Mm-hmm.
A roll call, please.
Trustee Udris?
It's confusing.
Can we?
Yes.
I'm just not sure. What restate the question, please?
If I may, I believe what the ordinance called for, the issue was, will it be retroactive? This ordinance would make it retroactive. The rates were changed accordingly to the ICC order. And I should mention, not to complicate things, but I will, remember there is a motion to reconsider this ICC ruling, which could be bad, could be good. I mean, they can go back to rehearing and find out the ICC can make a different decision, and then all this is, I want to say moot, but whether that motion be granted or not, I'm not too sure. But the essence of this ordinance was to make it retroactive. The rates are basically the same, pursuant to what the ICC indicated, but this was to make it retroactive.
To March 1st.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
So if we vote this down, just clarification for me, and I apologize because I was not at the last meeting.
You're in line, Doug, no
Okay.
problem.
If we vote this down, does that mean it'll automatically start May 1st? Is that, or we have to vote on that as well? Okay. Okay. Got it.
Any other discussion?
So trustee Raisik just said, surprised I couldn't hear him. If we shoot this down, it's gonna cost the village $27,000.
Right. That's exactly right.
I'm just making it clear so everybody hears, because like my kid talks like this, so I just want to be sure everybody heard.
Maybe I should talk into the microphone.
Thank you.
Trustee Gray.
Thanks for texting if I was going to be here.
Any other discussion?
No.
We're good.
Not roll call, please.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
Trustee Holston.
No.
Trustee Horn.
No.
Trustee Raisik.
No.
Mayor Pop.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. 1841.
I'm sorry, what was that?
1841.
41.
Now we're on the creamery. Go ahead, David.
Pardon?
Okay, now we have the creamery lease. David?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, item K2 on the agenda is the creamery lease, and that is still being reviewed by attorney, and we should have something in the, probably the first board meeting in May to accommodate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to the retention pond. That has to do with the fishing activities going on and non-residents coming and causing problems. It's been suggested by, so I shouldn't discuss it, but I wish we would refer this to a committee right now. So a committee can look it over and come up with suggestions.
It sounds like Park and Rec to me.
That's what I'm thinking.
What's that?
Parks and Rec.
Because we actually did have this discussion with our previous mayor. He did bring up the fact that people by the ponds just hanging out, and again, the resident that was here, not cleaning up. Hey, I'm all for fishing, I'm not a fisherman, but
Sure.
if you're gonna be out there, you gotta be respectful for the people that live
Yeah.
there. You know, if you're gonna be out there all day, that's fine. You gotta realize you're in somebody's backyard also, so. Scott, welcome to the board.
Well, let me be very clear. Scott, you don't have to take this on, as far as I'm concerned. But I would hope that you would. I'm pressuring you now, because we will help you with it, okay? I don't know how much you know about what's going on, but we'll make it very clear to you, and the committee can make a recommendation if we go to committee. So, I need a motion to go to committee.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
Trustee Holston.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Raisik.
Yes.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're on amendment to the redevelopment agreement with Dr. Sheets. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor. This is under new business. If the board recalls, we reached a redevelopment agreement with JPEL, Dr. Sheets, who's present tonight with, I believe, his father. If the board recalls, we entered into this agreement for the renovation of the facility on Governor's Highway, which he has completed. And also part of that redevelopment agreement called for a portion of it to be a commercial / wine bar type of portion of the facility. We are asking obviously the medical part has been completed. The commercial part has not yet been completed, although the renovations, the drywall, and I believe some of the lighting has been done.
Safety issues, Larry.
Safety issues have been completed.
Yes.
We are asking to grant an extension for the completion of the redevelopment agreement to October 1st, 2018. We are also indicating that by signing this agreement, neither the village nor Dr. Sheets is admitting any type of liability or exposure pertaining to the redevelopment agreement. Dr. Sheet is here tonight in case there's any questions by the board. But all this does basically is extend the term of the redevelopment agreement to October 1st, 2018.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll second.
Second. Discussion.
Can I ask our legal counsel, so what you're telling us that all of the parameters that had to be met for this redevelopment extension have been met?
Well, I believe probably 80 and 90% have been. Dr. Sheets has put in the drywall, the lighting, the plumbing for the commercial is not fully occupied. It's not occupied at all yet. But Dr. Sheets is doing his best to get that completed. So what we're asking for in order to complete the redevelopment agreement is an extension, give Dr. Sheets the ability to hopefully find a tenant within that period of time and complete everything. And that way we'd have hopefully some revenue generated from that part of the facility.
Awesome.
But
Thank
the
you.
medical part, as everyone can tell, he's done a very nice job.
Thank you.
At this time, I would ask if anyone has any questions for Dr. Sheets. He is here. Unless you want to say something, Doctor.
Well, you know what I do, I just appreciate
Good.
it. I think the board just,
Good.
again, I appreciate everything the board did for me, the village did for me on the project. I hope the village is happy with it, and if anyone wants to, please stop by, take a peek, walk around and look. I'd be glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Go ahead, Dave.
Mr. Mayor, item L3 on the agenda is a TIF payout request for JPEL, Dr. Sheets. And based on the preceding motion and approval, up for your consideration this evening is a TIF payout request for Dr. Sheets as JPEL. The project, which was located at 25646 South Governors Highway. The first payout, TIF payout, is in the amount of $195,000. All submitted TIF eligible expenses have been reviewed by Tesca Associates and found to be in order, and this payout request is in accordance with Section 5 of the redevelopment agreement. Therefore, the action requested this evening is a motion to authorize TIF payment in the amount of $195,000 per the terms of the redevelopment agreement and the redevelopment note.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any other discussion on that? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Okay. We'll now move on to open to the public. Non-agenda items, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Come to the podium, give your name and address.
My name is Dorothy Margraf, 27253 South Timber Lane, Monee, Illinois. I am speaking on behalf of WPAL. At this point, the community cable station, the public access channel that has been serving the communities of Beecher, Monee, and Peatone for the last 30 years, does not know where it stands. It does not know whether on May 1st it is going to go black in the same way that the Monee website did with no explanation, or what is going to happen. Nobody has contacted them. All of the discussion has been in the Beecher and Monee Village Board meetings, where it has been said that it is going to go black on May 1st. I'd like to make a statement whether the station goes black or not. WPAL was not a solo effort. If I don't finish this, by the way, in the 3 minutes or whatever, please know that it will all be on WPAL, and it will be on many, many community boards. WPAL was not a solo effort. It took a lot of work from a lot of people to keep a station going for over 3 decades. Thanks to 3 primarily Monee volunteer camera operators, Henry May, Jesse Reyes, and Syd Dresback, who each recorded the municipal meetings for years. A really big thanks to Tim Thompson, who volunteered in several capacities, but has been the primary recording engineer for Peatone for the last decade. A posthumous thanks to Beecher Police Chief Jeff Weisgerber, who recorded the meetings for years, working with me to improve the quality of both video and audio. He was a stalwart supporter of government transparency, but more importantly, just one of the greatest guys you could know. Thank you to Susan Margraf, who over the last decade has also put in many hours and many roles at the station, even though she is not part of the communities involved. Thanks to the many people who weren't long-term volunteers, but were able to fill in for shorter periods when people were needed. Thanks to Jay Farquhar, who helped create the framework of our Facebook page and got us the WPALTV.com domain, which redirects people here. He also put in place the first online file transfer FTP system, which allowed us to get video to the station without people having to drive to our studio with a tape or DVD. The use of online file transfer has revolutionized how we were able to accomplish so much in the last few years. Thanks to the volunteers of the churches who have brought in VHS tapes and DVDs of your services for the entire lifespan of WPAL. Your time and effort brought prayer, comfort, and peace to countless elderly, sick, or disabled parishioners who could often not make it to your weekly worship. The churches were on WPAL for years before there was any village or any other government program, and your services are here right up to the last week. It is you who have kept this a public access channel. No matter what the boilerplate legalese on the franchise agreement may call it, everyone but the corporate authorities who are shutting it down know the reality is that WPAL Comcast Channel 4 has always been in reality a PEG station, not a government access channel. Thank you to the people who started the station back in the 1980s and shepherded through the 90s and into this century. There would have been no station for me to start volunteering at back in 2002 if it hadn't been for the dedication of people like Stan Swidergall, Paul Wheeler, and Deb Swidergall, John Shaddle, Daryl Richmond. I'm sure there were others, but they were before my time, and I just don't know them. And finally, thanks to you, our loyal viewers and supporters, both the Comcast Surprise subscribers who were our raison d'etre for existing up until the creation of our online presence, and to those who have subscribed to YouTube, our YouTube channel and Facebook page, and turn to us first to find out what is going on in your local world, Mike Margraf. And I wrote this: thank you, Mike Margraf, my son, for all the work you have done for the communities of Monee, Peatone, and Beecher. You took over the responsibilities for this community cable station during the last 15 years. Back in 2002, you lived in the Monee area, heard they needed volunteers to run the station, stepped up and then took the job on by yourself when no one was willing to take it on. For 15 years, you ran the station primarily by yourself, having moved from the area but going back and forth to keep it going. You did it because you believed in government transparency. Only those who were around during those years know how big a job it was. Technology has improved over the years, so many are unaware, thinking only a switch needs to be turned on a laptop. There were so many other things on WPAL besides the Village Board programming. I will miss seeing the Illinois channel that showed news and events from all over the state, Will County at work, the township meetings, the meetings that covered the fight against the airport. I will miss the holiday programming, the church programs from JJC, and the local schools. I'll miss running the bulletin boards, advertising community events, and letting people know what government pages were before all of the web pages came on board. I will miss the Channel 4 slideshow background music, which I found better than any on any local station. I respect your taking the initiative to put the municipal meetings on YouTube when the idea was new, and later on the WPAL Facebook page. I've appreciated your creating that Facebook page to share information about local events for residents of all three villages in the surrounding area. If you know how much time you spent networking with other community cable stations and outside providers to get additional programming about things important to the residents of the 5 townships in the WPAL broadcast area. Thanks to the Village of Peatone for providing a studio and office space for their village in their village hall, where the station kept the complex array of wiring and broadcasting equipment needed to run a local version of CBS. I was part of this long run, and I will miss it. To the people of Monee, Beecher, and Peatone, make sure you keep open the curtain between yourselves and your local government officials. WPAL worked over the years to keep the government transparent. Don't let the officials' elimination of the station allow them to keep you in the dark. Thank you, with all due respect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else for open to the public? If not, at this time, and I think it'll be lengthy, we're going to go into executive session. So, yes, David. Yeah. It's for collective bargaining, 5-1LCS 120/2, C2, and purchase or lease of real property, 5-1LCS 120/2, C5, and compensation of specific employees, 5-1LCS 120/2, C1. So could I please have a motion to
I'll
move
make that
into
motion, Mr.
executive
Mayor.
session?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Not roll call, please.
Trustee Horn? Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston?
Yes.
Thank you all very much for coming. Paul, I'm glad things worked out.